Okay. All right. Hey, sorry we disconnected there. I knew that was probably going to happen. All right, if you're just joining back on the live stream, I this is my first time doing a live stream and I wanted to figure out and test everything. Fortunately, I had Brandon from White Pepper Farms. If you're not following that channel, he is awesome in the freeze drying space right now. We've been chatting a lot back and forth. Unfortunately, he told me that the chat really wasn't working, but then it caught up to him. So if you are just now joining, thank you for joining back. This is a live stream of the Freeze Dried Business channel. We're talking everything about freeze drying as a business. The reason I wanted to do this live stream is because I wanted to provide you access to myself to ask questions. And I do have consulting sessions. I have things that I offer people if you want to ask specific questions about your business, but I also want to give that as well. I'm a real person. I live in Boise, Idaho, Boise State Broncos. And if you are interested in starting a freeze drying business or you have a freeze drying business and you just have questions, I'm a business owner myself. I've owned my business. It's called Freeze Dry Depot. I've owned my business for over 4 years. I started it back in the pandemic. That's what the previous live stream was about too, is I was talking about my story with my freeze drying business. Probably to summarize quicker than what you probably were listening to is really short summary. My wife lost her job. I needed to find supplemental income. I had a friend whose wife worked with my wife in medical, and he had some coworkers in his fire department that had freeze dryers, but they were using it for food prep. And sorry, I keep swallowing, but my mouth is really dry. I need water. But they were doing food prep for, prepping for disasters, just like the pandemic. Obviously, that was good timing, but also just for food preservation. One of those people mentioned to him that there's people selling freeze dried candy, like they're freeze drying candy and then selling it on online places like Etsy, Facebook Marketplace, things like that. So we were talking about what to do as a side business to supplement income. And while we were working out together in his garage, I was like, oh, well, he does some finished carpentry work. So we were exploring that. Like, how do we get some jobs through that? I actually started working for Papa John's doing pizza delivery. I had done that in the past. I actually made really good money. And it's kind of like mindless work. It's kind of like being an Uber driver. You're just like, hey, I just drive in my car, listen to music, chill, talk to different people. I'm a pretty social guy. So it was actually a really good gig. And it's kind of that competitiveness. Like if you've ever done delivery driving or anything like that in the service side, it's kind of like this really like hustle mentality because you want to get the deliveries to someone, just in case you're wondering and you purchased from someone buying pizza. Those delivery drivers, they want to maximize as much time in the peak hours as possible to deliver pizzas because that's when you make all your money. So between 5 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. is really like peak times. And so if you could deliver, let's say, 4 to 6 deliveries an hour, I mean, that's pretty good because on average, maybe you're making $5 per delivery. So that's $30 an hour if you're delivering 6 pizzas plus your hourly rate. So you're kind of you're making better money on that time. So anyway, I was doing that. It's kind of side tangent, but that was what I was doing. And then he mentioned that people were selling freeze dried candy on Etsy. And given my kind of background in advertising, that's what I've been doing my whole career. I was like, "Oh man, like yeah, I'm seeing a lot. I'm seeing like a huge. I never even heard of this." I actually ordered from someone who had an Etsy store. You can look this up today. Susie's Pantry. She had sold like 8 or 10,000 orders because on the Etsy store, you can see someone's orders on there. And I was like, 8,000, 10,000 orders. Now, I think how they track that is more of the individual item. By the way, if you're watching this live stream, just to before I finish on the Susie's Pantry thing, if you want to chat with me, it's open to anybody. So if you want to send me a message, I'm looking at it right here. And once that message comes in, I'm happy to answer them for you. If you've got questions about what freeze dryers to buy, if you've got questions about things that are you're not getting answered, or you're seeing on these, I'm on, by the way, I'm on these Facebook groups just as much as everybody else. And there's a lot of noise there. So this is your opportunity to talk to me directly, and I can help kind of filter out that noise and answer your question based on my experience. And I'm kind of giving you my experience, my credentials, as I have a freeze drying business. I'm telling the origin story of this. So anyway, I saw an opportunity, ordered from Susie's Pantry. It's a shop on Etsy. I got ice cream, freeze dried ice cream. I got freeze dried Skittles. I was like, man, this is fantastic. So I saw an opportunity, and we purchased a freeze dryer in around, maybe it was like July of 2020. Harvest Right was accelerating in their business, and they still are. They were the only freeze dryer in town, and that was the only way to start a business because you had to have a freeze dryer, but they were 12 weeks out from you getting your freeze dryer, and you had to pay up front. So we had to front out that large freeze dryer that was the biggest size that they had. That's why also I partnered up with my friend because, 4,500 bucks was kind of expensive at the time. So we both split the cost, bought bags, bought stamp. We tried to figure out our logo, things like that, and we bought the freeze dryer. It delivered to us around October. In that time frame, we figured out our brand name, which was Freeze Dry Depot. Um, Also, we figured out our bags and packaging. We started testing different things. We knew we wanted to do Skittles. We knew also we wanted to try ice cream and fruit. So that was our kind of our three categories. Week after Thanksgiving, we launched our business. Great timing, by the way, because it led into the holidays. We really kind of focused our marketing on the elf on the shelf type of feature. So the elf would bring North Pole treats, freeze dried candy, things like that that you go and find for the North Pole. We made back our total investment from the large freeze dryer to the bags, the insurance, the LLC registration, all the products and everything like that we bought, 7,500 bucks. I'm actually going to share that. Um, if you are on this live stream and you're able to chat, or message me, let me know if you want to know kind of what my startup cost was, because I have all that actually archived. Uh, and $7,500 was what we invested in. That's everything to kind of launch the business officially, and also to be able to scale. Um, I'll tell you this, and some of you who have started a freeze drying business, this is what gets you excited about it, and it's what a lot of people don't understand about the freeze drying business is it's pretty minimal cost to get into it, and also see success. And a lot of people see success. May not be as much money as I made in the amount of time because it's been 4 years. A lot of people are doing it now. I made back that $7,500 in 4 weeks. And that really kind of just like made the wheels turn in terms of our entrepreneurial mindset. So when you make $7,500 in 4 weeks with a business that you had no idea about, but you see something that's catching on, it's natural for you to say, let's go for it. So after that came about, we kind of looked at our finances. We took basically all the budget and we paid cash for two more freeze dryers. That's what we did. In that time frame, while we were waiting 12 more weeks for those freeze dryers to arrive, we were signing on new wholesale accounts. We knew we had to get into commercial kitchens, so we kind of talked to our local health authority. that all that type of thing. Um, everyone, hey, first live stream, 13 people, awesome. Thank you for joining me. My name's David. I'm Freeze Dry Business Owner. I'm also the host of the Freeze Dry Business channel. I started this channel to talk to you specifically. I want to give back. I want to talk to you about your business. If you have questions, I'm hoping that the chat is available. I do know that it's been a little bit slow for people to actually send a chat over. So bear in mind that I'm trying to work on this live stream and I want to make sure that the chat is working. And if it's not, I'm going to figure out some other way. But where was I? 2021. So 2020 made back our freeze dryer, made back all of our investment. 2021 bought 2 more freeze dryers, got them around March. Meanwhile, we were building out different relationships with different wholesale people. By the end of 2021, kind of the fall, heading into our second holiday period, we had 7 freeze dryers. We had a commercial kitchen. It was very busy. And we also, my first kid was born in October 2020. My second kid, we ended up getting pregnant around 2020, late 2021. And anyway, things got busy. My business partner and I, he also has a small kid, and life just got busy. Ended up selling a couple of freeze dryers, went down to about 3 freeze dryers, and he parted ways. I took a hiatus for my business from about February 2022 all the way through the summer. Had people asking me, why we stopped, maybe like, can we start back up again? Um, and so I asked my buddy, I'm like, hey, is it okay if I continue doing this? Just because I enjoyed it. And one of the things that I recognized early on in starting this business is why I started this channel is in July, this coming month, July 29th or July 27th was my first video that I ever posted on this channel. And I posted about doing high chews. Had no idea what I was doing, but I knew I wanted to give people a video sense of how to run a freeze drying business or actually just a day in the life. So I started the channel and that actually kind of revigorated me to continue my freeze drying business because I was like, hey, I enjoy making videos while also I'm freeze drying candy, freeze drying ice cream, freeze drying fruit, building relationships, and I've learned it all along the way. And I'm still to this day loving the freeze dried industry. And I'm probably the one person on a lot of these forums that are like, this is just the tip of the iceberg. A lot of people, if you're watching this right now and you're like, should I start a business? Man, it looks like everyone's selling freeze dried candy. Well, yeah. I mean, a lot of people are. I knew that that was going to happen. But that's proof of concept though. Like now we have this huge industry and it's not even saturated. I mean, that means that everyone's had their fill of candy. That's not true either. So, also, you've seen a lot of people use powders. So, with freeze drying, your fruit can become a powder very easily. With freeze drying, candy can be crushed now, and you could have a flavored type of candy of something. People are using it for ice cream toppings, all that type of stuff. So the evolution of freeze drying in terms of creativeness for you to be an entrepreneur is wide open right now. It's kind of the Wild West still, which is awesome, but it is an opportunity for you. And that's why I started this channel. Thanks for joining me if you're on the live stream right now. This is my first ever live stream. I'm planning on doing more of these. I was actually sitting at my desk right now. I actually have my work computer on the other side. And yeah, I wanted to hop on because I'm like, sometimes I get as a creator, I don't if you don't have a YouTube channel or you don't know somebody has a YouTube channel, either you're passionate about it or not. Some people have been in it a long time. There's also you develop this pressure to like release a video all the time. It's just what it is. I think what's happening more so now with video and with all of our social media platforms is people want to be more real and authentic and just hop on a live stream. And I've done some POVs, like point of views videos, But you know, I'm just not I'm not a good video editor. So I wanted to hop on to this live stream because I'm like, this is more me. I can talk to you. I've got my microphone, I've got my webcam, and you can ask questions to me. This is what I like. And so that's what I'm going to try to do more. If you're on this live stream, um, I don't know have any I don't have any way to know whether the chat function is working. But it is open for you to send a message to me. Right now, I can't see anything. It says something went wrong with the chat. So I can't see anything with that. Um, Something you could do for me is you could email me, actually. Email me at david@freezedrieddepot.com if you're on this live stream. That's again, david@freezedrieddepot.com. If you want to email me and just let me know if you are seeing the chat and if you have sent chats over, that would be great. Because I'll probably end this live stream if I can't chat with you all and I'm not and it's not showing anything. It shows a monkey holding a hammer and it shows a YouTube logo and then it says something went wrong. YouTube refused to connect. That's what it's showing. So, anyways, um, thank you all for joining this live stream. Again, if you're on this live stream, I just asked if you would email me, david@freezedrieddepot.com, to let me know if you're able to send a chat. If you've already submitted one, that would be great to know too. This is what this live stream is about. I want to be able to hear from you. I want you to talk to me, ask me questions, bounce ideas off. One of the things that I wanted to discuss on this channel too, for this live stream is, you know, a lot of time, this is a great advice that I got. I studied business entrepreneurship actually at Boise State University, home of the blue turf. If you're ever familiar with college football, I studied entrepreneurial management, and one of the first things that I heard that if I took anything from that class, it was entrepreneurship 101. Professor, I can't believe I'm remembering this, but his name was Jeff Sugier. And, imagine him being in this class of all these freshmen, 19, 18, 19 year olds, all inspiring to be entrepreneurs. And he said something to me. He said, okay, somebody actually just said, go to the live stream to see the chat. Oh, gotcha. Here we go. Hey, I see the chat now. Awesome. Okay. Yep. Somebody just told me, hey, you know what? Just go to this live stream. So I can now see all of your chats. For some reason, um, what was happening is on my view here, like in my YouTube studio, I'm not seeing the chat. So I'm gonna have two different types of windows open now, so that I can see all your chats. So hey, it only took me what, 17 minutes to figure this out. All right. So 1 second here. Yeah. Yeah, everyone's emailing me. Hey, go to the live stream, please. All right. I've got 4 minutes just stopping by. Thanks, White Pepper Farms. That's the last one I saw. Okay. Yep. Seeing a bunch of chats. Let's see here. Hey, David, it's Ryan from Freeze Frenzy. Hope you're having a good time. Awesome to see you. Um, Cringy I can't probably say on YouTube the word for for your handle, but awesome to see you. Uh Zero R now. Okay, you said which freeze dryer would you recommend for an entry level commercial freeze dryer other than Harvest Right HRC? Great question. So if you are on this stream, awesome to see you. Thank you for joining. This is exactly what I wanted to talk about too. Is if you have questions, I'm going to try to answer these, and I'm actually going to go beyond this. So I'm going to go all the way till 3:15 Mountain Time. Okay, so I'm going to go for another 20 minutes and try to answer all these questions. To answer your questions about commercial freeze dryers, HRC 100 is less than 10,000 bucks. I can't honestly recommend another commercial freeze dryer that can do 100 pounds because I do think that you'll make up the money with a commercial freeze dryer later on. But for right now, if you're not ready to invest in a $150,000 freeze dryer, then I think the HRC 100 is going to be the best fit. And I also think you got to think about this too. Even myself, I'm looking at purchasing an HRC 100. And so you got to look at the resale value too. A lot of people can probably want to buy that HRC 100 from you. So for me, I like the HRC 100. I'm not sponsored by Harvest Right. I'm an affiliate of them, meaning like I'm only affiliates for people that I would recommend. I'm also an affiliate of Blue Alpine, Stay Fresh, just because I'm running a channel about freeze drying as a business. So I want to be able to recommend freeze dryers that are going to do the best and perform for you as a business. And right now, Harvest Right has the XL, Harvest Right has the HRC 100 for the best affordable price for what you're going to do with it. I know they've got different types of issues. I've got one freeze dryer that's just like anybody else who has freeze issues with Harvest Right, but I also have three other ones that have done great. So that's my answer to you. Now, if you want to look at a commercial grade freeze dryer, I would suggest looking at Parker Freeze Dry. You can also look at a company that I just talked to. I'm actually going to be speaking, I'm going to be releasing the podcast episode. It's called Tech Source Systems. And I can get you in contact with the person that I interviewed and talked to. Really knowledgeable guy. So if you want to email me, I've got links to that in my channel links. So let me know about that. I hope that answers that. Meredith, welcome. I hope you're still on here. Meredith, you said, I don't want to sell candy, only fruits, vegetables, and exotics like finger limes, other types of fruits. Do you think it's feasible to make a decent income without selling candy meals? Yes, it is. It's competitive in fruit. In fact, I did a podcast interview with Yo's Froyo Bites. If you haven't checked out my podcast, it's called Frozen Assets. I'm focusing on entrepreneurs, people in the freeze drying space. It's on a playlist on my channel. Haskell Noah is the owner of Yo's Froyo Bites. He takes frozen yogurt, makes them into swirls, and then he freeze dries them. One of the things that he said when we were talking is he showed me, not in the interview, but when I wasn't recording, he showed me his house and he showed me probably 40 different freeze dried fruit companies that he's purchased fruit from. So it's very competitive. But one of the things that I've been wanting to do is I've been wanting to be the Idaho freeze dried fruit go to company. That's kind of, if I was going to pursue my business a little bit more heavy, which right now I'm just super busy, that's what I would want to do. So I'd encourage you to do that. You don't have to go into meals, you don't have to go into candy. Something that you could explore also is if you like vegetables, fruits, and exotics, things like that. Try working with those types of things, and what applications could they do for powders? Because with freeze drying, you're taking all the water out, and as you know, becomes crunchy. Well, it also becomes like a powder if you crunch it down. So try to experiment with different recipes to coat something else in that flavor. Maybe it's something to make a smoothie out of. Maybe it's something to have as additives. Maybe you can find a bakery or something like that where it's like that's maybe your core audience is selling to people who want to buy um, something in bulk from you. So people who sell flour and sugars and frost and make frostings, things like that. Maybe that's maybe your customer. So that I would explore that. Hope that's helping. I'm gonna go to the very bottom and see what people are saying here. Okay, awesome. Um, I'm going to the last couple of questions here. By the way, I'm making sure I'm still doing this live stream. Yeah, looks like I am. Um, yeah, awesome. Okay, yeah, awesome. All right, now I've got my actual live stream and I've got the chat open. Cool. Okay, so some of the latest Z are now awesome. Glad there is cringy. Uh, there's many different types of settings depending on what you're doing. Um, oh yeah, you guys are talking about differences in recipes. Yeah, yeah, there are. In fact, I have the Stay Fresh freeze dryer, and reason I bought that last year around this time is I wanted to have a different freeze dryer. I've had Harvest Right. I recommend Harvest Right, but Stay Fresh is new. I'm also working with Blue Alpine to hopefully get one of their freeze dryers for a couple months. They live in Idaho. He wanted the owner, Corey, if you haven't checked out that podcast, he wanted to send me one just because he's like, hey, test it out. See what it's like. All freeze dryers are going to act different. It brings up a good point too. Think about what you're purchasing. I mean, right now, Harvest Right is the one who produced a freeze dryer for all of us to own in our home. They did not build the freeze dryer for businesses, for a business to be started. It happened that that's something that's booming. That's why I started this channel. That's why I started my business. But they didn't build the freeze dryer for us to be running it 24/7, 365 days a year. That's what the commercial grade freeze dryer companies design theirs to do. So you have to kind of look at all these different freeze dryers. I kind of go off on these tangents, obviously. I was talking about the Safe Fresh. Now I'm talking about my philosophy on all these things. But that's what these live streams are for, right? But think about that when you're assessing and hearing all the noise. It's not about yeah, these freeze dryers can break down, but think about it. I mean, like these freeze dryers are meant for food preservation, home use. And now we're all using them, us meaning people who are running to start a business, are using them to run them nonstop. So we have to kind of take it with a grain of salt. Now, given that, I've really liked my Stay Fresh freeze dryer. It hasn't had any vacuum error issues, but again, it's been only been a year old. I didn't have vacuum error issues with my Harvest Rights probably for at least well my stepchild Harvest Right, my one I had it didn't that didn't happen for about a year and a half or so. But if I downloaded the data, I probably had 60 to 100 cycles going through that. Fruit Friends. Oh, Meredith. Okay, awesome. Yeah, thanks for staying on here and those and staying on to the live stream. If you're just joining this live stream, my name's David. I'm the host of the Freeze Dry Business Channel. I also have a business called Freeze Dry Depot. I want to be more accessible to all of you. So I'm starting these live streams. I was literally like sitting at my desk right here and I was like, I should just hop on the live stream. I should just hop on here, talk to people, give you an opportunity to ask me questions. Um, I have a lot of things going on. If you don't know my background, or you watch my videos, I've got a freeze dried business, Freeze Dry Depot. I probably spend 12 or 15 hours a week doing that business because I've got 8 different wholesale clients. Um, I'm using it for this channel, things like that. I've also got this channel. If you don't have a YouTube channel, if you don't have any like social media presence that you're actively doing, um, or you don't know somebody who has a YouTube channel, I'll tell you this, after 2 years of running this, it's another type of like side job. Now, I love this. I actually want to go full time with this YouTube channel by the end of this year. That's my goal. And it's all going to be thanks to you guys who are watching this, sticking with me, watching my videos, clicking on the affiliate links for commissions and things like that. I really appreciate that because I'm very passionate about the freeze drying industry. I've done advertising and marketing for my entire career, and there's just nobody connecting the freeze dried industry at all right now. There's no magazine. There's homesteading. There are people doing it for their own businesses, but I'm just trying to connect you all. Like I now probably have on my fingers now. I now know about 7 to 8 different freeze dryers companies that I didn't know about when I started this channel. All I knew about was Harvest Right. If you've paid attention to my podcast, I've been interviewing these entrepreneurs. I want to basically be a publisher for the freeze drying industry. I want to be able to go to shows so that I can find these different companies, feature them, give you inspiration for being an entrepreneur, news, updates, recalls, all that type of stuff. That's what I want to do. Went off a little tangent on that one. How many machines do you have currently? I have four machines, three Harvest Right large freeze dryers, and one Stay Fresh. The Stay Fresh, I have the original that they had because they came out with another larger one. Um, but I am looking at Blue Alpine as well. Blue Alpine has said that they might let me have one for a couple months so I can test it out. Ryan says, "How do I branch out into wholesale? What is the typical markdown for customers who buy wholesale?" Great question. Um, it's being a sales professional. I would go to your local area, and first thing for wholesale is I'd probably go into like build like a PDF or a work go into like Google Docs and kind of like build a table or a line sheet of what type of products you're going to offer wholesale people. One thing that people get probably caught up on, and I thought that I had to do, was I had to list out all of my SKUs, all of my information, like all the products. You don't have to do that. For wholesale, you could say, "Hey, here's all of my products that I can do fairly easily, let's say, or here's my best, margins." So maybe that's what you want to offer for wholesale. So then once you have that sheet, because you want to be prepared, is I would start talking to like local relationships and high traffic areas. So look at small boutiques that feature local businesses already. So if you've got that type of store that's like, let's say you're in Iowa or you're in Texas and they feature Texas local things, then that's kind of a good probably place to be. You and then so I would look at that. Other wholesale that you could look at is obviously other stores, gas stations. You could look at um, maybe event type of places. So people that have concerts, places that I'm thinking of like horse tracks, casinos, just stuff like that. Like think of the high traffic areas where people are going to consume stuff. That's where you want to look. What's the tip? What's the typical markdown for customers who buy wholesale? Um, Typically, what you're going to see is wholesale people want to see anything between 40 and 50% markup, like meaning they want to mark up your product 40, 50%. So they're going to ask for 40 to 50% discount on your product. I would actually ask them. I would ask the people that you're looking at for wholesale and say, hey, what do your wholesale like vendors right now pay or discount their product, and then you can kind of know where you're branching off instead of giving it away right away of what your discount's going to be. Just ask them, what they currently do. Meredith says, I'm on the recipes section of your website, but I can't see any recipes, only category descriptions. Is there a recipe book for sale? Working on that. Uh, Thanks, Meredith. I am working on that. Um, a resource right now I would do is if you're not following the YouTube channel, it's called Retired at 40, Live Life Simple. I've actually talked to Ryan, to Brian there, and he's got a book, a recipe book that he's put himself into. I don't know if I'm going to go down that path, honestly. I'm working on kind of a different spin on it that I'm going to work on. Um, it's going to be more about like how to use a recipe for a business, like how to make bulk of it, that type of thing. But great question. I would suggest you going to Amazon or go directly to him. Although I love Amazon, by the way, they do take a huge cut from people who try to sell it who are local. So if you can go direct with someone like Live Life Simple, I would go to his YouTube channel, his website, and he's actually got a recipe membership website. He's also got some recipe books too. Okay, going back up, for some people, hopefully you're still on the live stream. Kay's Corner, how do you figure in pricing? Great question. I have a spreadsheet that I released that I actually it's been almost a year in process. If you're not an a subscriber of my email list, I'm trying to be more proactive in that because although YouTube is a great outlet for me, I'm able to get in touch with all of you if I have something to talk about via email a lot more quickly. So go to my YouTube channel and go to the links, the channel links. You'll see my website, but you'll also see it says the profits spreadsheet. Click on that and subscribe, and it'll send an automated email with my spreadsheet there. In that spreadsheet, you'll be able to put in one, your cost for your individual bags for a particular product. And then you'll also be able to put in any type of price that you want to sell it at. So to answer your question, you don't really have to um, know the price right now. You could just kind of figure in like, hey, I want to test this price out. Here's how much money I'd have left over for my other expenses or my profit. Great question. Right. Cringy says, yeah, going back down to the bottom of the chat, what would you recommend a HRC 100 or an extra large for a starting point in commercial? Extra large. The reason I'd say an extra large from Harvest Right is because it can do for candy. I like being conservative, probably 30 to 40 pounds of candy. So in my extra large freeze dryer, I can do about 10 to 12 pounds of Skittles. Sorry, in my large freeze dryer. So think about that in the amount of time that's going to take you to do 30 pounds of freeze dried Skittles. I can only do that. I have to do 3 cycles, which means that's let's say the average to do freeze dried Skittles is, let's say, 3 hours in total. That's 9 hours that it'd take me to do the equivalent of 1 cycle for the extra large. The extra large night is going to be nice for you because it has good resale value and also is going to allow you to scale um, and not feel like you have to buy another freeze dryer. So I hope that answers your question. HRC 100, again, under $10,000, but until you have the demand, I wouldn't buy that. Let's see. If you're just joining this live stream, I'm going to be live for um, maybe another 10 minutes. So I'll try to do another one of these. This has been fun. But if you're just joining, thanks for joining. My name's David. I'm the host of the Freeze Dry Business Channel. I'm just answering your questions. So if you hit up the chat, I'm trying to answer them. I finally figured it out. So I got to figure out how to get the chats in my studio area so I don't have to have 2 browser windows open. Cringy, you said, I currently have 4 mediums, so it'll be a big jump for me. 4 mediums? Yeah. Um, I don't know. Can you sell 2 of those mediums for 2,000 bucks each? That's 4,000. Then also all you have to come up with is 6,000 to get the HRC 100. Um, I would probably keep one of your mediums so that you can do some testing, so you don't have to run a huge cycle in the HRC 100. HRC 100, by the way, too, is going to be a larger requirement for power, even though it's just the size of like a stand-up freezer, but you got to have the power for it. So think about that. Lee says, I run a freeze dried pet business in Wisconsin, mainly selling wholesale. I have an HRC, I have an Harvest Right Medium Pro selling about 20 bags a week, thinking about getting a 7 tray Stay Fresh soon. Yep, perfectly fine. Um, 20 bags a week. Hey, let's set a goal. Let's try to get to 40. You can do it. Um, speaking of the 7 tray Stay Fresh, and also Harvest Right, when they released the pro version of their freeze dryer, you know, in my personal opinion, yeah, the software maybe had kind of changed other things, but really all I saw was they basically made the same size freeze dryer, but they just added another tray layer. So in my large freeze dryer, I've got 5 trays. Now they have 6. It's just a lower surface area for the trays to go into. So I could still do Jolly Ranchers. Let's say the whole Jolly Rancher, so not cutting it up. I could still do that, and the puffed up Jolly Rancher isn't going to touch the next shelf. But in the Pro version, it would touch it. Same with the Stay Fresh too, I think. So you got to kind of think about what type of candies you're going to do, and if you want to have a lot variety, I would just invest in another shelf unit. So get what comes with it, but maybe invest in whatever the cost is to have a swap out. So if you want to do something that expands more, you actually have that to expand. Um, let's see. Just looking at something real quick here. David, okay. Hey, thanks everyone for joining. We're gonna wrap up here soon, but feel free to put in your questions. Currently in process. Okay. Lachelle question: Candy is hit or miss. Sometimes the candy overexpands, but more often it does basically nothing. What am I doing wrong? Um, Make sure you're setting it 140 degrees. That's my first. The only ones that you don't want to do 140 degrees is Jolly Ranchers. My sweet spot for Jolly Ranchers has been 135 degrees. Um, I haven't done this yet, but I've been reading on the Facebook groups that Harvest Right is now telling you that if you make a modification with the customization in your software, by pressing like the flower looking leaf logo, you can switch the tray warming program to what they call either A or B, something. So like whatever it is right now, you switch it over to the other one. And apparently people are seeing now that like the trays are individually warming or something like that. I'm going to look more into that and ask Harvest Right. But that's what I would look into. Go to the Facebook groups and just maybe type in the search bar for those Facebook groups and type in like Harvest Right switch to B or something like that, and then it'll probably deliver a post that somebody made. So in Harvest Right freeze dryers, the sensor for heat um, for the trays is on the second to lowest tray area. I was told that when I visited the headquarters at Harvest Right. So naturally, like in physics, it's like the heat's going to travel up, but it's going to get cooler as it travels up, right? So you're naturally going to see like that. Basically, the freeze dryer chamber is not recognizing that top tray and that bottom tray are not as like hot as the middle ones. So unfortunately, that's just the way they designed it. So what I do is I kind of just say if I'm gonna do something that's gonna puff up like gummies or Jolly Ranchers, um, I just pretty much know that it's gonna be kind of a cross your fingers on the bottom and the top tray. And unfortunately, that's just the way it is. But I heard that there's a fix by switching the software, so check that out. Hope that answers that. Mr. Eastwood, David, any thoughts on the Chinese freeze dryer from Alibaba? Yeah, my thoughts is don't buy them. I mean, a lot of things from China we all consume here in the US, right? Um, all the freeze dryer companies, by the way, are buying parts from China. The difference is like, are they doing quality control and assembling them in America? Okay, so some of them are, some of them are not. But a Chinese made freeze dryer getting shipped over here, and you see a price point of $800 when you know that the established ones here are $2,500 at a minimum and they work. That's where I guess my opinion would be I'd have a hard pass on it right now until I had better information. Cringy. What do you think about a big company? What do you think about big companies getting into the freeze drying candy business like Skittles? I've heard some rumors. I actually had someone email me and I answered this in a great way. And when I released my podcast with um, when I release the next video about for my podcast this coming weekend, you'll hear from the guy in that gene. We talked about this. Mars Wrigley, who owns Skittles, um, by the way, if your Costco and Sam's Club still has those tubs of Skittles, that's awesome. Here in Boise, I've been able to buy those tubs of Skittles for about 3 months. The demand is super high right now. So Mars Wrigley is trying to produce more Skittles, let alone produce a new product called freeze drying Skittles. Probably the rumor that you're hearing is yes, they probably are going to be developing their own freeze dried candy, a freeze dried Skittle. But think about Mars Wrigley. They're a publicly traded company. They have to, one, propose that, put that in a forecast model. They have to go through legal to make sure that they get their trademark, their copyright. They have to find the facilities. They have to find all the workers. They have to figure out their distribution channels. So they are definitely have a lot bigger of a process to get through before it's going to be released. It is going to be released. Like, I mean, think about all of us selling freeze dried Skittles. Huge market. Who it's going to impact is all the big companies that you see selling freeze dried Skittles right now, which I'm all seeing. Congrats to them, but they are either going to be probably priced out, um, so they're going to have to figure out something else, or Skills may contact them and force them to sign a licensing agreement to sell and manufacture freeze dried Skittles for them. Probably that removes at least 30% of their margin too. So that's the two things that I'm predicting is that those two things are going to happen. Mars Wrigley will come out with freeze dried Skittles, um, but it'll happen in two different ways. Either one, they will price everybody out of the market, and then all their distribution channels will buy them directly because they don't want to lose the original candies contracts. And then the larger freeze dried candy companies that are selling freeze dried Skittles today that you see in Target, that you see in Walmart, that you see in all these big places, they will become either makers of freeze dried Skittles with a licensing agreement with from Mars Wrigley, or they probably will have to just b- pay them a huge licensing fee to do it themselves or something like that. So that's my prediction. I'm gonna have to wrap up here. So um, just looking at some of these, Deborah says, "What about candied pecans? Do they freeze dry? Doesn't?" Um, Nuts don't really freeze dry. They're already kind of hard. Um, I don't really see the point in that. It's kind of like coffee, right? Like it's like, oh no, I can make it in a powder form. Well, like you can already make ground up coffee. Freeze drying coffee doesn't really make any sense. Um, okay, so yeah, a couple more questions are coming in. Putting foam core. My husband is worried I'm wearing out the machine with candy. We bought a medium 5 tray harvest rate in February and preserve food, not candy. I do wanted two foods. Is that too much? Oh, I wouldn't worry about. Well, in my opinion, Kim, I wouldn't worry about um, wearing out the machine. In my opinion, um, but yes, if you're gonna run it more often with those shorter cycles, you're gonna have more usage of the pump. You're gonna have more cycles, therefore having to change out the oil of the pump. You're running at high temperatures than low temperatures. You're running for long and then running for short. So yeah, is it gonna have more time on it? Yes, but I don't think you have to worry about that too much. What's the cost of electricity and freeze drying? I usually equate about $4 to $5 per cycle. With candy, you could cut that in half, so maybe $2. That's about how I do it. All depends on where you live. Okay. Well, thanks a lot for everyone joining. I'm going to end this stream. Um, you know, Send me an email or do something that helps me understand whether this stream was helpful. I see that the likes are climbing up there. Thanks for joining. I'm planning on doing this again. I'm not going to do it as spontaneously as I did today. I'm going to try to at least tell you a little bit ahead of time when that is. But I hope this was helpful. And yeah, take a look at those YouTube links in my channel links. I've got the ROI spreadsheet. Join my email list. Would love for you to join that because I'm starting to kind of talk about more things beyond what I'm talking about on YouTube once a week. So, anyway, pop on there. Thanks a lot for joining. Have a great rest of the day.